Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome wherever you are watching around the world, live and on catch up on A1R Radio and Moonstruck TV. I'm back in Monk Towers, as you can see. I've had the decorators in, and tonight I want to talk about prayer and the way the mind works and the connection between prayer and thought. Many of us, especially myself, growing up, we would hear sayings like, seek and ye shall find, ask and you shall be given, knock and the door will open to you, especially if you grew up in a Bible or religious kind of family. Also, we used to say at school, I'll believe it when I see it. But throughout life and the way things have panned out for myself, I learned quite a while ago that the saying should actually be, I'll see it when I believe it. Didn't quite get that until I had my road trip, I had my epiphany, and began learning to live in the present and in the moment. So what does that mean? I'll see it when I believe it. Well, as you know, I talk quite a lot about the law of attraction and silence and presence and vibration of the human body, the human being, if you like, the way the brain vibrates, trying to connect back with consciousness and the universal energy, the universal vibration. So while we're still or present or silent, we are sending those thoughts out into the universe. If those thoughts are of a positive nature, as I've mentioned many times, we will vibrate at a positive level. So seeing and believing. When I believe something, I focus on that thing. I believe it. I believe it to be true, and it then transpires through the law of attraction that those things actually do come to pass. Seek and you shall find. We have to look for things. We have to look for something, for some kind of meaning for who we are, what we're doing, why our thoughts have brought us to the point that we're at. Why do millionaires, successful people make money, lose money, then go on to make it again? Because of the way they think, the way the mind works, the way the vibrational energy works to attract that financial success or that emotional success. You know, you meet somebody, you get on, you gel at the beginning, and that can either go into a long-term relationship depending on how one treats one another, or it can fade and die. It's part of life, almost like death, you know, the death of a relationship. We're all here. We're all here to raise levels of consciousness, and then the physical body, the three-dimensional bag of meat and bones, it dies, and the energy then moves on. So in terms of prayer, it's no different to the way we think about everyday life. We get into a situation, a dire situation, let's say, and we want help. We ask for help. We go to church maybe, or we pray in our own way. But if praying is asking for help, who or what are we actually asking? Some would say God, different religions would say different things, but it's all consciousness. God is consciousness. The whole of the universe is consciousness. It vibrates at that consciousness, God, creation level. The mind is a creative tool. So the link between man and spirit is the mind, not the physical body, but the mind, what we think, how we think it, and the essence behind what we try to do. And I've mentioned on several other shows, in everyday life, it's not the problem that we have that is the issue, it's how we deal with it. It's how we are able to deal with that issue at hand. Be it a good one or a bad one, it matters not. It's the thought behind our intention. The motor car, I'm not going to teach anybody about history, but the motor car was invented before we had gas stations, or petrol stations as they're known over here. So who came up with some wacky kind of idea to create the horseless carriage when there was no means or method to actually fuel that invention? Well, it started as an idea. The motor vehicle started as an idea, and it was pursued and progressed until it came to fruition. everything we can think about, and some of the things that we haven't yet to think about started as a thought. Somebody somewhere had that initial thought and took it and ran with it. So it makes sense that for us to be harmonious and in link with the universe, it's about the way we think and what we think. Not the problem, that's not the issue. The problem is how we deal with it, what we think about, what it is that we stress about or relax about. You know, I've said before again, it's not necessarily a negative thought is a bad thing. It's the identification with that negative thought. I've got a problem. I'm going to think about it. Can I do anything about it? Right now, right here, in the present, in the moment, can I affect what it is that I'm worrying about? Normally, in fact, all the time, we worry about a future event. The past has gone, so we'll dwell on it, and we might be upset or plan the future based on that experience from the past. But it's the future that we worry about the most. So if we can't affect that outcome right now, what's the point in worrying about it? We can deal with what we can deal with right now, asking ourselves, what's the worst that can happen? If we're quite happy to accept and go along with the worst, then right now we can set things in motion, taking action now, not tomorrow, but now, to prevent that worrying event from actually taking place. So it's really no different to prayer. You know, if I've got an issue, I can pray to God, or I can pray to the universe, or I can call it what you want. It's me just put it in simple terms that praying is one word for thinking and sending out the right message or the right request or the right vibrational energy to the universe. What we fail to grasp, and this will be the subject of a future show, is there are principles in this world that are infallible and they can't be challenged. The only principle with the human body is the mind. But let's take that to an external level to prove the point. Electricity. We can't see it, but we know it exists. It's the principle that can't be argued with. Now, we're coming from work and the light doesn't work. The bulb's gone. Has the electricity failed? It's not the electricity or the principle or the law of electricity that's failed. It's the light bulb. So that principle of electricity, that law of electricity, can't be argued with. Good. Let's look at the word good and bad. They are simply words given by humans to explain an emotion or a feeling. But the principle of good exists, but the principle of bad doesn't. Because evil or badness is simply a lack of good, or the fact that good at that time doesn't happen, doesn't exist. It's the absence of good that creates evil or that is bad. Evil or badness can be cured and defeated by goodness, but it can't be the other way around, because goodness still exists. The absence of goodness doesn't prevent the principle or the law of electricity, the law of goodness or the principle of goodness, doesn't stop it from existing. It's just at that point, our thoughts are of absence of goodness. That gives us evil. So in what I'm trying to say is, in our thoughts, we can have doubts, we can have negativity, we can have anxiety, but we don't dwell on it. We treat it as a visitor, we acknowledge that it's there, and we let it go. We then go back to silence, we then go back to living in the present, we go back to being in the now, and send those curing, healing, loving thoughts, gratitude, abundance. You know, if we live a life of abundance with abundant thoughts, by virtue of the vibrational energy of the universe, the law of attraction will bring to us abundance. So it's not just about anxiety or depression or fear. Those are all the things that kill the human spirit, but that's because we choose to have those thoughts. So it's about prayer and thinking, with the two things combined together. And I want to talk about that in terms of spirituality. We are trying to be spiritual. We're trying to raise consciousness. We're trying to lift the consciousness of the universe to help the planet, to help the earth, if you like. The only way we can do that is by being present and forgetting about tomorrow and forgetting about yesterday, and focus purely and simply today, right now. That's all we can really do. Focus on the thoughts that we have, what we're looking for, what we're hoping to achieve, and those vibrational thoughts will manifest. The manifestation of thought, it's like prayer, the manifestation of prayer. We say prayer, we ask for help, we ask for salvation, we ask for health and healing for friends and family that may well be ill. We're sending out vibrational thoughts. It's simply religion, God, consciousness, spirit. They're just words given by men, by humans, to be able to explain and get other people to understand what it is that we're trying to say. So it's been great talking to you. Apologies for the sound. I've had to buy a new laptop after the renovators have been into Monk Towers, and I look forward to speaking to you all again next week. And if you need to, drop me an email at urbanmonk.uk@gmail.com, or hit me up on Long Road to Richmond on Facebook. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. Good night.